the troll.
Hello and welcome back to ZUNGU'S. We're back again. It is the time of the night where we have to talk about the case, right? And we've been gone. We are back. It is happening and everything iyahlupa nje. Kumele ngiwamukele uwesikhashana lokuthi there are things that are gonna trouble us, even the best of us at this point in time. So we are new. Yes, Emily, but
it's like we're brand new. It's been like a 5 months.
Yeah, it's been long. Yes. So Emily, how are you doing?
I'm just tired, but I'll be fine.
Yes, I'm also tired, sleepy, and all that at once. But yes, we are here. We are here to do what we are supposed to do. Let us just, I think, hit the ground and run as much as we can.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Mzansi Reality YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining us here again for another deliberation on the Senzo Meyiwa trial. Yeah, I saw a lot of comments. People are not happy with Advocate MNISI asking for an early adjournment just to go through the record, double check, make sure. Not pleased. Even the judge wasn't happy, but hey, it is what it is, man. Well, the Senzo Meyiwa trial continued this morning, and Advocate Charles MNISI continued with his cross-examination of lead investigator Brigadier Bongani Gininda. It's actually yesterday now. So yesterday, MNISI was focused, or rather the day before yesterday, he focused on the circumstances which led to the arrest of accused number 1, Moses Biya. That was just after the long adjournment, just before court adjourned. He now shifted his focus to accused number 1. So earlier on in the morning, Advocate Numalo told the court that Advocate Mishololo is still not available. She won't be in court for the remainder of the week, and the judge said that she must explain those obligations that she has. These other obligations that she has. Is Advocate Mishololo over this case? What is going on?
I wouldn't blame her. If he was over it, I wouldn't blame her.
Is she checked out?
Once, at the end of the day, you need to make money.
Yeah. MNISI picked up on the statement of Absalom Zungu, the father of state star witness Constable Sizwe Zungu. According to Gininda, he is the first person to depose a statement that implicates accused 1 and 2 in the commission of the murder of Senzo Meyiwa. MNISI started off by asking that he received the statement from Absalom Zungu and he identified Bekiseni as the person he got this information from, and Gininda said yes. So the judge interjected to highlight that an application needed to be made in order for MNISI to be able to use the statement. Absalom Zungu has not testified, so it makes it hearsay. So the judge said that there should be an application brought because this is hearsay evidence. A proper foundation should be laid for the admission of that statement. There is an onus on the state to call Absalom Zungu or argue in the interest of justice. Now, to me, I have to ask you a question. Why does it seem like the judge is discouraging MNISI from using the statement?
After it has been used to support what Gininda is saying.
Yes.
When he realizes that this is hearsay evidence, now he is using that strategy of you are the one who brought this hearsay evidence.
Gininda,
so
what is the one who brought it up, isn't it?
When he was talking about the journey of how, yes, but it is now
was a witness.
It is now like Ngomezulu is the one who brought it up. Because he's not there to answer for himself.
No.
It's a good one. But you are right. It was a lot of crap. When I saw it, I was disgusted. Why would you raise it now after it has been put on the record? This whole thing. Why now are you objecting? Because you know that there were things that were not touched there, such as this evidence was hearsay evidence. Now you see this is going that direction. Now you are asking questions as if you really care. But in my opinion, it seems as if you just are looking for a way to stop this whole thing.
Because when Gininda was testifying, referencing to these statements of these people, we even argued about how these people are not in court to support their statements. Remember?
Yes.
And he was just quiet. He was just quiet. But now that the defense is using very same statements that Brigadier Gininda used to testify, without the owners coming to, he said he verifies them on their behalf. They said because he took, what was the excuse again? Because he took the statement.
Something of that note.
He can testify on them. He can speak for the statement.
I remember we were so livid because of that.
So now it's hearsay, according to the judge. Where was this hearsay commentary that we needed to hear when Brigadier Gininda was testifying on these statements without their owners being in court?
We'll see what the judge is doing. I think everyone can see it.
And then MNISI said that it forms part of the record, and the judge said, but it is admissible, or is it admissible or not? He said that when he writes his judgment, he wants to know if it's admissible or not. Why was this not asked to the prosecutor, the state? Why was this not asked when they introduced these statements to support the evidence of this current witness? Why is this question only being asked to the defense when they are merely referencing a statement that was a long time ago introduced by the state? So MNISI then said he would pursue that. So he said that if we would just take this matter further, he continued with his cross-examination, asking Brigadier Gininda then come and address the court on the aspect. He said that he will be in a position then, telling the judge that he will be in a position to give an answer to what the court was asking him, because there is just one more further aspect that he wanted to take in respect of the statement, and the judge said that it was fine, he can pursue as long as he doesn't forget. So already that was the first issue that was parked. A lot of things were parked. So MNISI said that this statement formed part of the record, the information being said that actually came from Bekiseni as per the testimony of Brigadier Gininda. MNISI said that he had an opportunity to again have a look at the statement, and what struck his mind is what he was able to identify in paragraph 3, and is that this Mbekiseni is not even the originator of the information that is contained there. He himself says that he got the information from another Ntanzi.
That's a point. That is the point, that this case was built on the basis of hearsay, and now it's like, oh, should we accept that we are in court because of that nonsense? Sorry for this, but really we are in court because of this whole thank you, Lindy Webem. Thank you. Shout out to you. Thank you. God bless you. You know what? There are a lot of things that I look at, and I as I'm listening to this case again, I just have a different feeling, and the fact that this team was assembled by, is it Ketlas Tolle?
Ketlas Tolle, the previous,
and then Ketlas Tolle is the one who called Ginin to come and listen to this
testimony of
Zungu. It is just, I can't seem to shake it off. I remember at some point it seemed as if there were two heads of this case, and that was the time when Pegitele was still coming in, and then eventually he would come in to sort of merge these two teams. I think during the times of Bo Joyce, it was an appointment of Pegitele, right?
That's what was being reported at the time. That
Yes.
Begitele has, even he was confident. I will not even forget the confidence that he had that they were about to wrap up Senzo's case. He was speaking with so much confidence at the time. And then somehow it just switched.
It feels like
Now when he's being interviewed, he's no longer sure. Now it's like, back to square one, and he was speaking about other suspects now, and we were all like puzzled now. And even the family did confirm in some of the interviews that they gave to the media that Begitele had visited, allegedly, let me allege because I'm not sure if it's a fact, they had visited them and told them that arrests were going to be made, and he was confident.
Exactly.
And Umamaga Senzo in some interview even said that Kelly was implicated in the people that were going to be arrested.
Exactly.
So now it yajiga, and now after about a year he's being interviewed about the case. It's like he's not even sure what's going on anymore. It was so weird.
When he entered the arena, it was more like something is about to happen. I remember, and oh God, it seems as if for me, he was on the money. He was on the money there, right there at the beginning when the blood was still hot, and
he was speaking with confidence.
Oh, and then the cold team happened.
This cold case.
The cold what?
And when we look back, now that they're mentioning the timelines and the dates, it was around that time, January 2019, March, April.
Yep. And then
that's when
that team came with the investigation and collaboration that really twisted almost everything, in my opinion, that we thought we were about to see. And from what we were hearing from Undos, it was like a new thing just came in, and it changed a lot of things. But okay, it's fine. I'm not saying that they changed whatever. They didn't change it, but the narrative seemed to have swayed when the cold team, I'll call them the cold team. They are the cold team because this case looks very cold in any case. So for me, they are the cold team. And
it's
here
also
we are.
Very interesting that the docket 375 was opened in January 2019. It's very, very interesting to me because when I look at the timeline, I'm thinking, oh my God, this was before even Bozungu popped up.
Lindy Wedube, thank you, man. Thank you. God bless you. Molo mthokozisi lang. Molo. Kuthiwa nje ngenani ngama-likes bafowethu. When you come in, remember to press that like button. And thank you again, our moderator and Lindy Webe, reminding people that liking is part of giving. Yes. And thank you very much for that. Yes. But so, I mean, this is just purely our opinion, because I was, I was sitting and I was excited. I remember when I had Begitele opened his mouth initially about what was going to unfold. And then as time goes on, I was like, maybe let me take a back seat. And that's how almost everyone in this case,
we all took a back seat. I mean, we all pretty much were like, no, let's see what the state has in store for us. I mean, let them do their jobs in peace. Not many South Africans were questioning, right, until that court appearance at Boxback.
Yes.
Now.
And then we were surprised.
Now that shocked us.
That in truth, that thing is really gaining momentum.
It's very interesting.
It gained momentum and it became that.
And towards the end, you heard MNISI talking or rather, he made a comment where he said that he cannot imagine after that meeting that Brigadier Gininda said they had with Brigadier Perumal, and he cannot imagine how Makubo, Maybe, and Buthelezi in his head walked out and said, siya hamba lana ikolento. This is a meeting that happens because they were trying to have some kind of a mediation between the officers who had opened docket 375. The feeling, and I'm gonna put this as my opinion, that I got when he was narrating how all of that was happening was that they wanted to convince them to not open the docket 375 or to leave it alone. We heard words that Brigadier Gininda was using in his testimony, like ill-discipline, not following a decorum or whatever he was saying. Because now I'm getting a feeling, I'm like, but let us look at it. Let us rewind. This 375 docket is opened in January of 2019. This is way before Zungu pops up. Is it not?
It is. It is way before that, yes.
So when the other officers of 375 are telling you that we need to have these people from the house arrested, they are hiding something, they have a case to answer to, right?
Yes.
Where in that is that strong that convinces Brigadier Gininda that no, there were intruders in that house? That's the part where I'm like lost. What did you have that was so heavy that convinced you that the people in the house needed to be left alone and you needed to find these people that you did not know?
That's a very interesting question. Without Zungu, where were they? And then Zungu came, this good Samaritan who witnessed crime. If you ask me, it's now more like he had his father. That right now from this testimony that I've just heard of accused one, it's more like Zungu came off as an assistant to bring the father, more than he was part of the people that were there.
That witnessed everything. And remember that his testimony that he was there on the 26th of October 2014 at the Basutung hostel comes later. It comes after. It comes way later. So what was it that Brigadier Gininda and his team had before Zungu popped up that convinced them and said to them that Joyce Buthelezi and Warrant Officer Makubo, they are crazy? Their theory of having those people in the house arrested is not the one.
They don't want to investigate. They just want to take a shortcut.
And what is his investigation? Let's leave the theory that he rejected. In this theory that he believes, what was the investigation before Zungu popped up?
Basically, you can almost say none.
I'm not hearing the people that he questioned. The only time we hear questioning is when they went to KZN as a part of the former investigating team to take an affidavit from Senzo's brother-in-law that now it was very hard for that affidavit to even be used in court. That's the only part of investigation that I'm hearing coming from Brigadier Gininda. What else? We've got nothing.
Nothing. We've got people who are saying, we were beaten to admit to this. And let me say this, in my opinion. This is my humble opinion with the greatest of respect.
With the greatest of respect.
To a learned colleague, Kinindi. It does seem like these people were really beaten. In my opinion, if I follow the evidence that is giving, because I don't see anything else other than people mushrooming out of nowhere, being in right positions, and coincidentally, the father of the very same person who was in the house with the so-called accused comes in to basically, this case is based on one family.
Yeah.
One family. And then the others come in and they say, we were coerced into admitting that we know this case. And I can say, in my opinion, I believe them because there is nothing that is solid out of this. That's why we have had evidence of X and Y and XX being made, X, Y, and Y being made to be a mixed DNA. We have had people fighting so hard for some of these things to be ignored. We have had someone come to this court and tell us, and telling actually, that is basically someone who was eventually Butelis, who the judge said he was threatened when he started turning on them
on the
states. He was seeing things and all that. In all honesty, as a person who's an observer sitting outside, the guy said, yes, Ntanzi looked beaten. And for saying that, he was verified. He was a person who
words were put in his mouth that he was threatened. So if he felt that he was threatened, why didn't he ask him towards the end, like he usually seeks clarity from witnesses? Were you threatened? He waits for him to leave, and
then he puts it on record that, hey, we saw. Why didn't you call these people in order? Because you saw it happening in front of you in court.
Yes, you did see it according to your version. So why didn't you ask him, were you threatened? Are you safe? Do you feel safe?
Anyone who's trying, even experts that are coming and giving their opinions, if they go the other way, it becomes an issue. So in all honesty, as a person who's got his own brain, who can think for himself, what do you think of this case? That's a question that I'm asking you. I'm on the fence. I'm just sitting there. Actually, I'm not even on the fence. I'm just sitting there and just watching this ruckus and all that. And I don't know when it's going to end. Someone's going to wake me up and say, this nonsense is done. I started with it a long time ago. It is just crazy.
And there's also this energy of wanting to blame MNISI for the delays. Oh my God, the delays. Listen, in my observation, MNISI is fighting for someone's life here. And part of the reason why this case is dragging is not even because of the defense, in my opinion. It's because the state presented a case that is like this.
If the defense was that stubborn, I'm telling you, this case will not be even here, because there are things that they have overlooked and they have requested for them. God knows for how long they have never came.
A lot of things were overlooked. A lot of things.
So you can say what you want to say, but let's be honest. This is just a roller coaster that has no direction that we are watching here. And I see people defending themselves. I see people defending themselves and trying by all means to make things be suitable for them. I've seen a case being thrown out of the window, such as the weights they made their bed, they must lie on it. They were used when it was against them, but when it's against the states, Roe versus Hepworth works. I've seen such things. I mean, in all honesty, I'm not an expert of this thing, but I think I've become an expert of what is biasness. You know? At least I can be able to fathom what is biasness.
So MNISI said that, in other words, Mbekiseni himself got this information from a third person that he refers to as some other Ntans. Okay. When I thought that cops work with AKA snitches, whistleblowers, people that give them, tip-offs and stuff like that, I was under the impression that they bring actual proof, receipts, files, evidence. You understand? And if that's not the case, then you'd find situations where there's a setup of some sort where you get these perpetrators caught in the commission of the offense or at the crime as they're doing the crime, and then you catch them red-handed. Do you understand what I'm saying? Never in my life did I ever think that they would risk it all, go to trial with AKA snitches that bring hearsay evidence. This is astonishing for me. It's a first.
Which AKA?
AKA snitches.
Oh, I was thinking. Oh yeah, they have actually come to.
Like, I've never thought
they are the only proof themselves.
Usually when someone is whistleblowing, they have evidence, right? Or someone is maybe snitching on someone, they're coming with evidence. So this situation here, I am perplexed because the person that is snitching is a person who heard this being told by a person who heard it being told by another person who heard it from another person. And this was good enough to go to trial.
Yes.
So Gininda said that he understands, but he's not disputing that. In fact, what he was saying is that in that statement, it is clearly explicit by Absalom Zungu that accused number 1 and 2 are involved in the killing of Senzo Meyiwa. I don't know why he likes putting words that do not mean the scenario that is happening. That it's not explicit by Absalom Zungu. He heard it from Mbekiseni. Mbekiseni heard it from a certain Ntanzi who doesn't have a name.
Oh, Mbekiseni is the one who's Ntanzi, isn't it?
No, it's not. Advocate MNISI today revealed that Mbekiseni also heard it from a certain Ntanzi. Mbekiseni is not Ntanzi.
Isn't Mbekiseni the one who was on the phone calls, some of the phone calls Shololo talked about? Was it Mbekiseni?
Yes, there was a Mbekiseni on one of the phone numbers that were being pulled there by the Rika lady, Pinky Faintilengam. There's Mbekiseni's number that popped up there. I remember. So MNISI said that is what is contained in the statement. And for you to say that this is what Mbekiseni is saying, that accused number 1 and 2 are involved in the commission of this offense, is a misnomer, because he's saying in the statement that he got that information from the other Ntanzi. So in other words, the originator or the source of this information is not Mbekiseni, but it's this other Ntanzi. Gininda said, but my lord, that is not what I said. The person who made the statement to me is Absalom Zungu. The name of Mbekiseni came when the question was asked as to whether Zungu was the source of this information. And I did mention that there was another person, and that is how we got to Mbekiseni. There's no assertion for me that Mbekiseni was the source, because I did say there was another person, but that person didn't want to come forward in fear for his life. So we were under the impression that Mbekiseni is the one who didn't want to come forward for fear of his life. But now we are not sure which one is it. Is it Mbekiseni or is this Adantanzi that told Mbekiseni? Which one is it? So it seems here, in my opinion, that Brigadier Gininda and his team took hearsay evidence of a person that did not want to come forward. No wonder why Zungu now had to come back and be in the hostel on the night of the incident and narrate how they were looking at all of the accused before they allegedly went to commit all of these offenses. Speaking of guns that were thrown at the river, Abu Snako being brought up, that were said to have been deceased in 2014, and then family members are like, no, on social media they were deceased in 2018 or 2017. So strange things are happening. So in other words, Absalom Zungu was a dead lead. That is why now Zungu, in my opinion, came back second round, placing himself at the scene with typed statements where original handwritten scribbles were shredded in a certain brigadier's office, allegedly.
Because what else can you think of if you look at all this now unfolding? But it's basically our opinion.
So now, in my opinion, this placement of Zungu at that hostel has to be thoroughly looked at. And I mean, going even at the possibility of looking at logbooks of his shifts in 2014. Was Zungu actually working in 2014 or not? Did he work on that Sunday or not? Those are the questions. So MNISI then said, would you agree with me that Absalom Zungu says Mbekiseni got the information from another Ntanzi? And then Gininda said that he was not denying that. MNISI now went back to the question the judge asked him in whether or not the statement should stand. MNISI said that now that the trajectory of the information that is narrated on the statement here, it is undoubtedly clear that it is a trail of hearsay, and hearsay is not admissible. So as is this statement that carries no value, it holds no value unless this other Ntanzi can come and testify and say, I'm the originator of this information and I'm aware of the circumstances of these assertions that were made. Then the matter must die there. In other words, the statement carries no value with regard to the assertions that are contained in here and that accused number 1 and 2 are involved in the commission of this offense. It's a trail of hearsay that would be his submission. Well, the judge asked Baloyi for his view, and Baloyi said that you'd recall that we were at the pains to avoid this hearsay evidence. However, the late Mr. Mgomezulu introduced hearsay evidence, and they cannot stop him. If a party wishes to introduce hearsay evidence, then they must lie on the bed that they make. And Mr. Mgomezulu has introduced hearsay evidence at his own accord, well aware of what the legal position is. The defense must sleep on the bed that they have made. It cannot get retracted. It's on record. And he said, we submit that it has to remain on record. The statement is already admitted.
Nobody asked for it to be retracted.
No. Despite the fact that Advocate MNISI pointed out its triple hearsay evidence, and that's why they didn't call Mr. Zungu Sr. to testify, as his evidence amounted to triple hearsay evidence. And considering that this was a prosecutorially led investigation, so the judge said that they will address that in arguments at a later stage. Now MNISI moved on.
Someone saying that we are freezing. Yes, we can also see on our side. And, I honestly do not know what level at what level is this YouTube thing actually supposed to get their data from? Because we are on almost full blast of 500 megabytes up and down, and I just tested it now. It's fine, Emily. I don't know exactly.
Oh, guys, be patient with us. I mean, it's been a while since we streamed live. Those issues are going to pop every now and again.
It's not even our fault at this point in time. Like,
yeah.
It's just.
Well, MNISI said that he prays that he does not forget that he also asked about the statement on it being retracted, but the information contained therein be disregarded. It is evidence, of course. It cannot be retracted. But his request was that the information contained on the basis that it is inadmissible, it should then be disregarded. So for those who wonder why did he go on and pursue this dead lead, is because of that, to ultimately disregard this hearsay evidence. So MNISI continued with cross-examination of Gininda, and he asked Gininda, your investigation is up to the point where you already had a statement from Mr. Zungu Sr. which is flawed with hearsay. Is there any investigation that happened 17th of November 2019 to find the authenticity of this hearsay evidence? And Gininda said yes, a lot happened. What happened? The investigation proceeded, and parts of what we did was to get Mbekiseni Ntanzi to come forward and corroborate what Absalom Zungu said. But that exercise was futile.
Guys, are we even audible to say the case, to say the least? Because if we are audible, we continue.
Can you hear us, guys?
Can you hear us?
Are we? If the video is buffering, it's fine. But can you hear me without interruptions? If that is the case, we are continuing. But if it's not, we have a problem.
So anyone who can say,
I'll wait for feedback.
We can hear you.
Is it fine?
Anyone to confirm the voice? Only the voice at this point in time.
But usually when it does this, when you play it back with the replay, you'll find that all of these issues are not even there. That has been my experience.
Yeah.
Mr. Anonymous.
Yeah.
So that's why I usually go on and I don't stop, because when I look at the replay, you'll find that all of these problems are cleaned up or are not there. Yeah. Like they were when we were live. So sometimes it happens, you guys. It does happen sometimes. So then they looked at the cold case analysis, he said, on them was then done to get the detailed specifics that led to various cases that are referred to in relation to accused number one. Akiribiano now, Absalom Zungu was a dead lead. So he said they came back and do the cold case analysis. Mr. Anonymous, do you still remember the cold case analysis?
Yeah, you must have a case that is not solvable, stuff like that.
That's when they do a background check of all the cases.
That's what I heard today, that you must have a case that is not solvable. So
so these were not cases that were related to this matter. He said they were parallel cases that they identified that were cold. And he said they needed to have them on site. So they embarked on the cold case analysis to say, let us identify them on the cases. Let us pursue them while one is embarking on evidence that can be collected in this matter. Well, MNISI said, so because of the investigation, as a result of Mr. Zungu's statement, you came across the possession of illegal substances case of accused number one. And Gininda said it did lead to that possession of illegal substances case that was already opened in Tembisa, but that led to possession of ammunition. Prior to that, it also, the profiling unearthed other 2 cases of attempted murder in Vosloorus. That was what was discovered in the cold case analysis in as far as accused number 1 was concerned. So MNISI then said, and then there was a warrant for his arrest on the 30th of May 2020 for illegal substances. Gininda said correct insofar as the Tembisa 219 illegal substance case, but prior to that there was already a warrant for one attempted murder case, and they applied for a warrant of arrest sitting in one of the dockets, which was not executed in one of the attempted murder cases of Vosloorus. Now this is the case that he got a conviction, I think it was of 12 years, for having a fight with 2 females, and apparently the reports are saying that he shot 25 times or something like that. The case overall, little information is available regarding it. I don't know what happened in the trial of this case. There's not much information available concerning it. But however, Muzi, accused number 1, is serving currently a sentence for that. I think he got 12 years or something like that for attempted murder. And then he said they then also applied for a warrant of arrest on the second attempted murder, which was issued. And another weird thing about this case is that when initially NPA was releasing the statement concerning the arrest of these 5 accused, one of the reasons why the impression was kind of given that these people were the right people was because it was reported that one of Muzi's ex-girlfriend was going to come and testify and say that he confessed to her that. Do you remember that?
Yes, I remember it.
But it's not happening right now. So there were 3 warrants at the end of the day, 2 on attempted murder charges and 1 on his illegal possession of substances or the illegal substance dealing case. So Gininda said that Tembisa warrant of arrest was the first one to be initiated. Then Vosloorus one was followed while he was facing charges in Tembisa. And that was also dealt with and he made appearances. So MNISI asked him, are you aware of the arrest of accused number 1 around March 2019 in relation to this case, Senzo's case? Gininda said that he was aware of this, but it's incorrect to say that this case. It's in relation to the Tembisa case, and that is the case that they picked up when they were doing the cold case analysis that he was arrested for, but it could not link him, and then the case went cold, and then they went to draw that docket at the archives. He was not arrested by this team because by the time they withdrew it, that matter was already dealt with. So they only got a statement that directs them to accused number 1 in November 2019, prior to what they had no knowledge or sight on him. Did they have no knowledge or sight on him?
At least that's not what he is saying, and then at least that's not according to, I think even Makubo was in the house, right?
And it's also not according to him as well, because you attempted to arrest him for Senzo's case. You didn't get leads. You stopped, right?
Yes.
And then you went to cold case analysis. The reason why you went to cold case analysis was because the main case that you were actually looking for against him was Senzo's case.
And then you got them convicted because we have shitty courts sometimes. I'm joking. Yeah, so they were convicted. This is just a joke. They were convicted. And then let's say you got them where you want them to be, which is having something on their name, then boom, they confessed.
So he was saying that the whole case analysis was done, and this Tembisa case was then picked up, and then they went to draw it from the archives, reinvestigated it, and subsequently the warrant was done. He said that he knows insofar what the docket was telling him, and the charges that he was facing there was substance dealing and not this matter. So in my opinion, it does not change that they were still looking to nail him for Senzo's case, because he admits to doing this cold case analysis after listening to Absalom Zungu's double hearsay evidence. He then realized that he reached a dead end, and then he said, let me try and look for other cases that this person may have in the system.
Yes, Mount Africa, you are still a member.
Thank you for keeping that membership. Highly appreciate it. So he said that you found something, but it does not change the fact that your motivation for even doing this cold case analysis to begin with was for Senzo's case. And you were just struggling to get the solid lead when it came to Absalom Zungu. That's my opinion. Merely my opinion. So MNISI then said the reason why he was asking whether they have knowledge of this arrest in March 2019 of accused number 1, because he's telling him that he was accosted by police in Tembisa, and some were in uniform and civilian clothes. He remembers a certain Mr. Modau and a certain Mr. Baloi and one other policeman who was also in uniform. Gininda said that he was listening. MNISI then continued to tell him that accused number 1 is telling me that when he was accosted, they were in a Nissan Kumbi. He was then taken to Kluorkop, put in an unoccupied office and asked questions, including about the murder of Senzo. So when he informed them that he knew nothing about this case, they started assaulting him. He continued to deny any knowledge about the death of Senzo. Then the assault also continued. And when they realized that there was nothing that they would be able to extract from him, they then stopped the assault and took him to another office. In this office, there were other individuals whom he identified as a certain Mr. Leshabani, Sibia, who he says the way he was being addressed sounded like a high-ranking officer, Makubo, and Constable Zungu, the one who gave you information which led you to Absalom Zungu, his father. Now, as this was being narrated by Advocate MNISI, I was wondering, how many of us can hear that this, does it not really coincide with the events of Mr. Makubo telling Zungu in his face that he was lying and stuff?
It does. And Maudwan, thank you again. God bless you. Yes, it does. It does.
Thank you, Maudwan. Thank you. So, doesn't it give you a deja vu of that part of Zungu's evidence when he was talking about how they accused him of lying? Warrant Officer Makubo is actually the one who said to him, "You are lying." And the reason why he said he was lying is because accused number 5, Warrant Officer Makubo is the one who put him in prison for his other cases. So the time that Zungu was narrating all of this took place, he was saying, but he was in jail. How could he have done this? Because he was locked up. He was... So in the back of my mind also, I can't help but imagine that why he probably didn't even consider opening a case with IPID. Why do you think accused number 1 after this whole interaction in 2019? Because they let him go. Why didn't he go to IPID, try to get justice for what happened to him?
Very true.
Because you look at all these high-profile people.
No,
wouldn't you be
thinking
scared?
Like that. That's why the targets are always people who are
poor
and do not understand
and don't have money,
the law, even
to pay a lawyer.
So I think things, when you are going to do something of this, maybe if you are going to do something, if you were to implicate someone, let's say that was the case, you wouldn't choose someone who's learned.
No.
No.
I need to abona no Kelly, they are calculating. Kelly phela bamwele staff. Understand?
Yebana. No, I'm just
because she's got money. She had a lawyer. Don't you remember she had a lawyer?
I'm just saying. I don't wanna go to that direction. I'm just saying, Uti, if it was a case, as they are saying, we were coerced. If it was a case, you wouldn't want to start it with someone who is, if it was a case.
If it was the case. Yeah, if it was a case. So Gininda then asked to comment, saying that it was a lot of information what MNISI had just told him. He sounded like he was hearing it for the first time, in my opinion. And he said that he would not be able to remember all of these things that MNISI said to him. But he wanted to respond. He wanted to respond before MNISI would go further. He said, so far as Tembisa case 2173 of 2019 case, there is no statement in that docket which suggests that accused number 1 was questioned about this case. There is no such statement. What is contained in it relates to illegal substances for which he was convicted. It went on trial and he was convicted on those charges. And Gininda also said that at no stage was he informed that he was a suspect at the time. The only time his name came up was with Zungu, not in March 2019. And he said also that, in regards to this of him not knowing about this case and expecting the details of this meeting to have been in the docket, I'm like, but this is the very same person who, when he takes interviews with accused number 1 and accused number 2, before they spoke something that purported to be tantamount to a confession, he also didn't document that. Did he document it? Did he? Maybe I missed it. He did not. Now we are in the issue of warning statements, and he didn't even so far as make them feel warning statements to help them understand the process of what was going on. I mean, what tantamount purported to be like a confession led to him immediately calling Bomboto and staff to come and take confessions. Do you understand what I'm saying? There was none of that. So why does now all of a sudden feel like in the docket there should have been a meeting that occurred between Moses Bia and all these generals and Warrant Officer Makubo in the docket? It doesn't make sense to me. Okay, and another thing is, how is a case from 2019, the one of illegal substances, the Tembisa case, a cold case in 2020?
I don't know.
How is it cold in 2020? That was before Mohola came in. And because Mohola said she was the one who investigated that case. And the previous investigators, how were they struggling to arrest Moses B? What was happening there? Gininda said that what made him focus on accused number 1 was Absalom Zungu, not what happened in March 2019, nothing else. So Gininda was appointed on the case of Senzo in November 2018, according to him. He testified that in January, that it was in 2018. So MNISI then said, he further says, after being questioned again, his response was he knows nothing about this knowledge about the death of Senzo Meyiwa in the presence of Leshabani, Sibia, Makubo, and Zungu. His response being that he knows nothing. That is when Makubo suggested that he be released because it does not seem he was involved in the death of Senzo. That's how accused number 1 recalls what happened to him. So Gininda then said he was obviously not in that meeting, but what he can say that is that in March 2019 it was clear it related to the Tembisa case. Secondly, there is no statement in the Tembisa docket indicating that Warrant Officer Makubo was part of that investigation. Gininda said that it would not make sense for Makubo to have made that assertion that Sibia be released because there were two generals there in terms of seniority.
There was one general, by the way.
Leshabani.
Yes.
Sibia was not yet a general.
Was he supposed to work at the time?
Oh, he wasn't working. He was working somewhere else. He wasn't in the SAPS or the Hawks.
So there was one general.
There was one general. And then he said, lastly, I don't understand if somebody gives information to you. How do you, at that spot, come to a conclusion that someone was not involved? They must be released if the assertion is correct. Warrant Officer Makubo is a warrant officer. And if the assertion that is given to me is also correct, that there were two generals there, the seniority is very clear. Generals would make that decision. I don't understand how will a warrant officer without investigation impose a decision in the presence of generals, and the generals must just follow that what doesn't make sense to him. Well, the generals heard him, what he was saying when he said allegedly to Zungu that this person that you are implicating in this crime, I actually put them in prison. You understand? You know. So what were the generals supposed to do if they have sense? And I'm sure they do, because they let him go afterwards. Then MNISI then said, Mr. Makubo, from the instruction I'm getting from Mr. Sibia, he never said that he should be released. Mr. Makubo only suggested that he should be released because it appeared to him that he had no knowledge of the death of Senzo. So it is a little bit disingenuous for you to say that Mr. Makubo is the one who gave an order that he should be released. The judge told MNISI not to argue about non-essentials. I don't understand how this is a non-essential. I don't. He said Makubo suggested and accused number 1 was released thereafter. MNISI then said it means that the generals bought his suggestion and there's nothing wrong with that. MNISI said that he was only correcting. Then Gininda, when he said it's strange for a junior to instruct senior officers, MNISI said, and when he was released and he was never taken to court, Gininda said that he wasn't aware what he was then released because there was no 212 statement. That was what was contained in the docket. MNISI then said, it seems to me that the method that you and your team used to arrest accused number 1 in 2020 was also used in March 2019 when he got arrested and was taken to Gloragop. And the reason why I'm saying this is as follows. In 2020, you and your team, it was not on the basis of this case, but it was on the basis of a case in illegal substance dealing. But subsequent to that, you requested him about this case and you questioned him about this case. I'm not suggesting that there's anything wrong with that. It's just a methodology, which is a nice thing that he picked up. I wasn't even picking it up or focusing on it that much. But the same style of him getting arrested the first time, it kind of duplicated itself again in 2020 in May now when he got arrested. It was a similar methodology. Then Gininda said that he was in possession of this docket till date. Then Gininda said that's true. And we arrested him, then did a cold case analysis. We collected information that made us focus on him for this case. The investigators in the Tembisa case are local detectives, have never been a part of this case. And in March, he said that he had the docket, but it was not present in the meeting. Even when Warrant Officer Makubo was part of his team, he did not tell him about this meeting that they had in March 2019, that there was a suspect arrested and they interviewed him and he suggested that that particular suspect must be released. MNISI then said the methodology. In March 2019, that's my analysis, accused number 1 was arrested for something else but quizzed on the death of Senzo Meyiwa. He gets arrested for something else again, he gets quizzed for something else. Then Gininda said the cold case methodology, it doesn't work that way. How it works, you need to have a docket that you are pursuing that is cold. In embarking to solve that matter, you then apply various methods of identifying parallel cases to the same target that you are pursuing, but they must be a basis. Okay, this cold case analysis, what happens if you don't find any cases, of which I doubt was the case with Bongani Ntanzi? Allegedly.
Well, if the glove does not fit, you must fit it.
What happens if you don't find any cases and you find that this person doesn't have any cases? Does it mean you don't make any arrests? Because considering the fact that Bongani Ntanzi's cases that you said are cold cases, the judge dismissed them and they were thrown out. What does this mean? This is not a good look.
There's always a case against someone. You are even a crime yourself. This is South Africa, man. Just joking, man, joking. But yeah, I'm thinking you must find something. There is something. Someone, somewhere, somehow has done something wrong.
This is scary, man. So you can't just take a case random that has nothing to do with what you are investigating because there won't be a connection. So there must be a basis, is what Gininda was saying. Like in this instance, there is the death of Senzo Meyiwa. The reason why they applied the methodologies because they were trying to connect the suspect to this main charge. Finally, the truth. Now, that is the death of Senzo Meyiwa, he says. Insofar as the Tembisa matter, those investigators were not part of this case. The investigators in the Tembisa case could not have applied that methodology because they know nothing about this case or its investigation. They were not a part of it. If they applied it, it was for something else. It was definitely not for this matter. MNISI asked for time to look at his documents. He said that this was going to occur very frequently because he needed to jog his memory. He needed to verify the information. You know how much of a big deal it is made in that court if one of the defense attorneys misquotes something. It's a big hoo-ha. So he has to make sure that when he especially references the record, it's exactly what he read, right? So he apologized in advance for this, and the judge said that he's been listening to this case for 2 years. He has been watching it and he's used to it. He's used to it. It's fine. It's okay. What can we say? So MNISI then said, was it not your evidence to Gininda upon your appointment as the investigating officer? You made copies of the docket and you gave your team members, including Makubo. Gininda said that was correct. MNISI asked him, then why do you say that you were the only person that had the docket? Gininda said, perhaps I was misunderstood. I said those members in the Tembisa case were not a part of this investigation team, so they were not privy to the details of this case. Then MNISI asked him, but in your answer, why are you avoiding to include Warrant Officer Makubo as a person who had a duplicate or information about the Senzo Meyiwa case? Because accused number 1 specifically mentioned that he was also at Lurkop. Gininda said, so Warrant Officer Makubo's name came up on the first assertion that was made by Advocate MNISI when he said, do I confirm or am I changing from the evidence that I made copies for other investigating officers in this matter that included Warrant Officer Makubo? And I said yes. Then I moved forward to say the members involved in the Tembisa case 2173 of 2019 were not a part of this investigation. They were not reporting to me, nor were they part of the investigation or the investigating team that was before us. Based on that, I don't see on what basis would they have had copies of the docket. Gininda said that at the time, he spoke to Warrant Officer Makubo because at the time they were still communicating. Hence, he informed him of Zungu at that stage. At no stage did Warrant Officer Makubo inform him that they had actually interviewed accused number 1. So he's saying that at that stage, Brigadier Gininda told Warrant Officer Makubo about Zungu. And this is in March 2019, when Warrant Officer Makubo and Colonel Buthelezi had opened docket 375 in January. And he's saying that after that meeting on the 26th of January, when they walked out with Perumal, they were still communicating with Warrant Officer Makubo. That's according to him and his version. That after that heated meeting they had, they were still communicating with Warrant Officer Makubo, so much that he told Warrant Officer Makubo about Zungu. I will leave it like that. Well, MNISI then said, so Brigadier, in short, you are then saying that this information accused number 1 is saying, according to you, it could have never happened that way. Gininda said, my lord, I can confirm that he was arrested, but the arrest related to the illegal substance dealing. I was not present in what happened in Tembisa. I'm giving evidence on what I can put my hands on. There's no information that was brought to me by any of the investigators that they questioned accused number 1, but there is no evidence in both dockets that support those claims. So MNISI then said, the fact that you did not receive information from those who participated does not mean that it did not happen. Gininda said, I was not there. I cannot take it any further. The judge asked Gininda about General Leshabani, who was the most senior at the time. Gininda said that Sibia was a DNC now, and they were at the same level with Leshabani. He said that what he knows about Sibia then is that he is not in, or he was not at the police at the time. He was doing some other work in Johannesburg. He is now a deputy national commissioner. Breaking news. General Sibia is a deputy national commissioner. I did not know this piece of information. I did not know. The last time I read or did, I think there was a video I was doing where I was covering him. It was a couple of months ago. They said that he was going over there at Bloemfontein to be the head of the investigating team or the lead investigators in Bloemfontein. I had no idea that he's the deputy national commissioner. I didn't.
He's a man working hard. He's a man working hard. And then he has been rewarded for being a hard worker. I mean, he was one of the few who were there early in Senzo's crime scene. I mean, we have seen him even recently on those...
With the case of the constables.
That were found in the river. He's a man who's working hard, you know. Yeah, he's been given what he deserves.
He's a hard worker.
He's a hard worker.
Well, the judge said, so a general can interview a suspect called Rata Mokwatleng. There's no docket that is open there. There are no notes which are kept of the interrogation. And you as a colonel, you never get any notification of this. I'm like, it's the same way. There were no notes, you know, when Brigadier Gininda interviewed accused number 1 and 2. No, it's a similar type of thing. I don't know why the judge was asking all of this. It just was so awkward. And then Gininda said, that's why, my lord, I'm finding it very strange, particularly if you account the level of experience. General Sibia was the head of the Hawks in Gauteng, so he is a detective by nature. He is now the deputy national commissioner currently in the country. You know, he had to make us aware He had to emphasize that. General Lishabani, even though he was a cluster commander in the northern area, but he was a detective as well. That's why he's saying the narrative is being told. He can't take it any further than that. So MNISI said that the witness indicated that he was not there. He was saying this in response to what the court was inquiring from the witness earlier on, because the judge was now asking about juniors being there, generals being there. And it's just a weird question, if you ask me. If these are the questions that are mind-blogging in the mind of the court, is what MNISI said to the judge, to get first-hand information on whether or not there are notes that were kept there. The best person who can demystify the court on this is the person himself, not this witness. It would be improper to conclude this matter. The judge said that he was reading what he did not do. The modus operandi, like with him, he gave an example of with him being called by the deputy judge president when they hold a meeting with him.
He was doing what? He's just, this guy, man, he is just doing, I don't know, man. It sounds like he's debunking these things, like it cannot happen. He's
acting
what,
like a prosecutor.
Yeah, that's what that thing sounded like. That's impossible for this thing to happen. That's it. That it can never happen like that. And then when it suits him, how South African police are.
Yeah, he's acting like a prosecutor.
It's so crazy how Undala, he must go home and retire.
He's poking holes in the defense's arguments and whatnot, but he's not poking holes in the state's.
And in the position that he's sitting on, he is literally telling them what he's thinking.
Yeah. Well, MNISI said that Lishabani and Sibi are still alive. They can come to court to testify. Then the judge said that Mngome Zulu said he would call Lishabani. He said that MNISI had forgotten. Yena, he doesn't forget. I don't know what that had to do with anything, but I like how Advocate MNISI kind of called him to order on this. This was his way of letting him know that I see you. I see what you're trying to do. Nyakbona.
Everyone can see it. Well, everyone who's on a little because Pelage.
There are some people who just decide to not focus on the meat. They focus on, I don't know. But they just focus on stuff that really don't matter. Like MNISI saying he's not a computer. I don't think that's what's important that happened in today's court proceedings. As funny. You understand? So MNISI then said Mr. Sibia informs him that Zungu, when he testified here, he also explained about what could have happened in Kluerkop. He said, I need to go and refresh my memory on this. Then he parked his point. That's another point that has been parked there.
Okay.
Gininda said he was not here when Zungu was testifying, so he won't be able to assist. The methodology is misunderstood. You need to have the main docket that is difficult to resolve. The second thing, you need to have sight of the targets. The suspects must be on site. In the absence of evidence at that stage, then you apply the methodology of identifying other cases that bring this person closer, but there must be a base, there must be a docket that is difficult to connect or unsolved because of the lack of evidence at the time. You are not able to arrest the target or the suspect if the evidence is sufficient. You go straight to the suspect. You don't have to go around applying the methodology. The methodology is talking about is literally going through the system and looking if the accused had any previous cases that were filed against them or opened against them that they can pursue. Maybe if they are lucky, they are much easier to get to get them to be detained than the ones that they are currently investigating, in my opinion. I have to put that disclaimer there. But if there is difficulty, he said, then you will apply the cold case analysis. He went on and on, At some point, I even lost my train of thought. He was talking a lot, so I kind of got the gist of what he was saying, and that's what I decided to stick with and not get any further confused because, hey, uyakhuluma lo baba. Gininda said that if there was a suspect that was pursued, then it should have been mentioned in that docket. MNISI said that he was wondering if Brigadier Gininda was even listening to himself, and he is saying it with due respect, of course. Now I felt it. Like I said, guys, I couldn't take everything he was saying. I just found myself like, yo, hi, uyakhuluma lo tata, yo. And none of what he's saying to me made sense. So I kind of summarized what he was saying. But then MNISI said that if you say there's nothing in the docket of the Tembisa case, are you sure we won't find anything in that docket relating to accused number 1 being questioned on this case? Gininda said the charge there is illegal substance dealing, and there's no statement in that docket that says he was questioned regarding the death of Senzo Meyiwa. There's also nothing in this docket which says accused 1 was a suspect in this matter prior to us having arrested him on the 30th of May. So MNISI said that they will park that issue that relates to what could have happened at Luorkop until he confirms what is contained in the record on the basis of what the witness testified about Luorkop. So this is the third now parked. Now it's being parked because MNISI wanted to go and I would assume verify on whether in the docket for the Tembisa case there's nothing referencing to Senzo's case. So MNISI said that he would have requested an early adjournment today to enable him to go and verify the information that has come from Brigadier Gininda that he rather parked, and he would have suggested that they adjourn at 1 o'clock. The information related to the evidence of Zungu and the testimony of the witness that were at Luorkop. So the judge wanted Advocate Baloyi to confirm for him while MNISI wanted to confirm it himself. He said, we can go through the record, we can look at it. But the thing is, especially with regards to this last one that he was asking to have a look at, it's not actually the transcripts. It's the docket for Tembisa case. It's the docket. So he asked Nxumalo if he can also verify. Nxumalo said that he needed to go through the records. Yeah. Na Nxumalo yangichaza phela akafuna ukuyifaka intweni like I like what he's doing. MNISI said that he was not recommending an adjournment. Then he wanted for them to rather stretch, not take the short adjournment, but rather stretch up until lunchtime. But the judge opted against this and said, 15 minutes adjournment would be enough. So after that short adjournment, MNISI came back now and he said to Brigadier Gininda that the information that was contained in the confession of accused number 1 and the information in the pointings out served as a springboard to widen the scope of Brigadier Gininda's investigation. Gininda said that is correct. And MNISI spoke also on the dates that accused number 1 got arrested. The 30th, he made an alleged confession before Colonel Mboto, and then on the 5th, he made an alleged pointing out before Colonel Hadebe. Gininda said that he was correcting him. He repeated everything literally that he was saying and then added the date of the 1st. That's when accused number 1 appeared in Tembisa court for a different case. MNISI asked Gininda if there was anything else he recalled pertaining to the investigation of accused number 1 that he would like to mention. So he was giving him the floor to share any extra information that he may have regarding the arresting of accused number 1, that he feels he may have left out. And Gininda said that he needed more time to go through the docket so that he can recall what he might have left out. MNISI told him to please look through the docket to avoid him coming back later and then saying that he forgot to add something that was extra. You can tell that MNISI was reading the record. You can can tell that this was written in the record, and I laughed at this because I'm thinking, oh my God, he knows him so well. The only time you get to know a person like this is when you read what they are saying. It's when you read the words. It's when you go back and you rewind and you actually play the record and you reread what is going on. So MNISI then said that on the 16th of June 2020, accused number 2 got arrested. There is a lot of investigations around him culminating into a confession before Magistrate Grenier and Colonel Rapadu. Now, Gininda said yes, but first the confession was before Colonel Rapadu and the second one was before Magistrate Grenier. MNISI said that as he was going through the documents, he noticed that there were 2 offices of which it was the DPP that were involved. It's the DPP in Johannesburg and that of Pretoria. So he asked him which DPP was approached for the first time after they assembled this information and presented it to the DPP for a decision. Gininda said it was the one in Pretoria. And his recollection of when they started engaging the DPP in Pretoria, Advocate Baloyi and other advocates were directed to go in early 2019. So, if not somewhere in December, so we're not sure now whether it was in December of 2018 or somewhere early in 2019. But when the matter started, when we were appointed, is what Gininda was saying at the stage, the matter was under the DPP in Johannesburg. And then they were subsequently advised that it was moved to Pretoria. That is when there was this meeting of the 26th of January. And then he testified about it in 2019, where Brigadier Perumal himself went to see Advocate Baloyi. There was also another advocate, Advocate Leonard and Advocate Mahwate. Where the other members were. And he said that he could place that day to be the 26th of January 2019. And now, again, guys, this is before accused number 1 was arrested and interviewed with the generals in March 2019. So going downward up to that time, the docket was presented for a decision, and it was only the Pretoria DPP that were dealing with it. So Gininda said that he was in the DPP's office in Pretoria on the 26th of January 2019, and that has been the case until the docket was taken for positioning, and that had been the case up to the time that the docket was presented for a decision, and the decision was then made. So MNISI then said, so every time you say that there was a prosecutor-driven investigation, you are referring to the staff of the DPP at Pretoria. Gininda said, no, he's referring to both. Even the one in Johannesburg, when they were introduced, there were various advocates that were introduced. He said Advocate Dudoy, Advocate Mageta. He forgot the third advocate. When they were initially appointed to lead the matter, insofar as these accused were concerned, because there was no evidence in pursuing them. When evidence came up that connected to these accused, the matter was now sitting in Pretoria, and there was the case up until the time the matter was enrolled. So MNISI then said, in essence, in 2018, when you received the case docket in November, he said that they were assisted by the office of the DPP in Johannesburg. But when the information started to filter, then the docket was then moved to the DPP in Pretoria. Gininda said, no, that is not what he was saying. Gininda said that what he was saying was that the docket got assigned to them on the 12th of November in 2018. Just a month later, in January, on the 26th of 2019, he found himself with Brigadier Perumal in Pretoria. Then there was a directive given by the National DPP, Director of Public Prosecutions, that the matter must now be moved from Johannesburg to Pretoria.
Yeah.
At that stage, there was no evidence or information pointing to any of the accused that are now currently sitting in court. even on that meeting he said they had on the 26th of January 2019, there was no discussion relating to these accused. It was a dissection of the docket on who were the people that came in and what they were actually pursuing in this investigation. He said that there was information that they were following that took them nowhere. MNISI then said, so after the arrest of accused 1 and 2, there was light at the end of the tunnel. Gininda said, I agree. We had evidence that connected accused number 1 and 2, but there was a lot of investigation to be done regarding the confession of accused number 1 and 2. So Gininda said there was a continuous communication between him and the NPA after he was asked that after arresting accused 1 and 2, if he went to the prosecutor in Pretoria. MNISI continued to say, would I be correct to say that accused number 1's arrest, pointings out in the confession and the arrest of accused number 2 and his confessions, you approached prosecutors for guidance? Gininda said he agreed that there was continuous communication. They were kept abreast of how far they were and how to proceed in line of the investigation. Gininda confirmed that there was a presentation made to the DPP in the form of a memorandum where they felt Kelly Kumalo was a trigger point, and then it was decided to pursue the 5 accused. Gininda said Perumal had a problem with ill discipline when it came to the other officers who had opened docket 375. And he also shared information that Perumal was struggling to get access to this docket 375 as well. Because remember, Gininda had shared previously that he didn't know what was in this docket according to him. And he said Brigadier Perumal wanted this docket so that he can take it to the office of the National Commissioner from the other members. So he was not happy on the conduct of the 2 members. So MNISI went through the issue of the second docket. Gininda reiterated that there's only one docket in relation to the murder of Senzo Meyiwa. He said that 375 docket was opened in January 2019, and it's with the regards to the people in the house where they are being charged for defeating the ends of justice. And he was only opened with the intention to charge the occupants of the house with defeating the ends of justice. Now, Gininda said that it was a matter of discipline and not following protocol that Perumal was not pleased with. He came to the conclusion that they were intruders based on what Mr. Ngache's statement said. So Mr. Ngache, the senior Mr. Ngache who passed away, whose statement could not be handed in court because he has passed away. Now Brigadier Gininda is telling that the reason why he decided to disregard this pursuing of the people that were in the house is because he read this particular statement from Ubabu Ngache, and he said that Ubabu Ngache is the one who blew the whistle and one of his sons chased the perpetrators to the park. Based on that, he came to the conclusion that there were intruders in the house. That is why he said he did not agree with the view that there were intruders. Unbelievable. I am just as shocked as you guys. I'm gobsmacked. I'm like, what? The very same Babungache simbonile ku documentary.
Hi. How people think goes in Bella icon. Aye. Look, yes, people differ in their own way, but sometimes other people's reasoning nje mabakhuluma uyabuza ukuthi hey madoda. Kapela, honestly speaking, we all heard what Ngasho was saying, but how you decide to interpret it's another story. It's the same thing as DNA. We like there are a lot of things that you'd hear in that court, and you're like, okay. And then when you hear someone explaining or regurgitating them, you're like, eh? Oh wow. How, you start asking questions. But again, this is our team. What can we say?
Now he's making an impression that Babinga just said that he saw intruders. That's what this feels like. And watching the documentary, that is not Babinga's. I don't know, guys. I don't know. Like, I'm just
What
so
did
shocked.
the son of Ngashe come and say? They said they went and checked for those people.
With the community.
They went
Because,
to check for
yes,
the people.
at the park.
They were driven by the
With-
person who pointed to that direction. Same
Yes.
as the police. But now it's like they saw these people and they were chasing them.
He's making it seem like they saw them intrude. They saw them get in the house and then run. He's making it seem like the Ngatjes were in a position where they could identify the intruders. And that's not their testimony.
They went there because they were told with Babalege Bashonale, the people in the house could have been lying or something.
And because of that, he came to the conclusion that they were intruders. Wow. Let that sink in, everyone. While MNISI asked that he needed to adjourn for the day, he wanted to go revisit the evidence on the Tembisa docket. The judge said MNISI was given time to look through all the records. Yes, he was given time to look through all the records, but you can't expect him to now recall everything like an AI machine. MNISI said that he was not a computer. He needed to go and redefine what he read pertaining to Chlorkop. He said that this would be happening frequently and it must be expected, like it would have been expected if a new lawyer came onto the scene. And honestly, if a new lawyer was appointed, we would still not have started. We would probably start next year. So, choose your struggle. Keta, your struggle. You can't have it.
Yeah,
your cake and eat it.
Yes, it's very, you are onto something, but I wonder the way these people are working, because manje yabona so vice commissioner, very soon mhlawumbe uzoba commissioner, and then you look at uLokuzana uKinindi. I wonder the way Kinindi is working. I very ngiyambona ayithola iLokuzana naye angena kulo. So uyabona uma ngaphushwa uSibiya abe commissioner, and then uGinindi umsebenzi wakhe muhle kakhulu bese bemthatha bemuthi wahla kwi-vice. That would be a very good combination. People who really work so hard. I think I foresee that happening in the near future, not far from the what we call it, what is currently happening. Uyayibona nje lento ufani vele hayi yena uzophuma very in the near future. Not I don't think it's going to take.
He's close to retirement.
It's close to retirement, and then
very close. I'm talking about a year or two, if I'm not mistaken.
And then Sothola uLokuzana uSibiya as the commissioner, and then bese siba noGinindi as the vice. Yabona bayasebenzela South Africa, those people. Bayasebenzela. Ngicabanga ukuthi it would be fair ukuthi beubambe lo msebenzi. Mhlambe nezinto ezinjengo cold case zinga apply by wonke amaphoyisa yabo. The strategy of investigation, and that is seemingly bearing fruits and all that. So you should do expect that vele kuzokwenzeka. Ngicabanga ukuthi into nje engekho far from ukwenzeka leyo nto. izinto ezibona ukuthi cha abantu sebesebenze kakhulu. You know, as saying how it works, man. You work hard, you are rewarded by being promoted and all those things. And if you're not promoted, get shoot umsebenzi wakho awenzi kahle. Maybe angazi awukho honest, you are in opposite of that. So but it's something that you should expect. That's yeah, I share the same sentiment as you, Sizwe. Ukuthi izokwenzeka lento le. Sebenza kanzima. South Africa ya reward umsebenzi usinabantu abasebenza kanzima. We reward hardworking people. That's how we are as a country. I think that's how we are wired. So ke nje bafowethu sengizovala siyafisela inhlanhla nginindi ukuthi ayithole indlaphi commission yeah sibone ukuthi I methodology ye cold case, how are they going to apply it to the nation and all other police. You know how things are. I like it. I really like it. It has this way of investigating that is unique. Yeah, so yeah. So imagine wonke amaphoyisa sekhona ukuthi akulinde athole case, yabo kube ne case ekhona, and then they pounce on you. And you know what is nice about it is that you confess, you know, because they've pounced on you and you've got something, they've put something on you, and then you just confess. So, wow, we would be in a situation where ubugebengu boncipha, yabo. Ngiyambona umkhwanazi yena yasebenza endlela yakhe, kodwa uyabona le strategy lesi sokubamba igebengu lesokuthi then you confess. Uyabona once you confess, phela yenza umsebenzi ubelula kunejaji sizothola amajaji apushayo, yabo amajaji apushayo njengabo Ratha, yabo sikhuluma abantu ukuthi kosuratha semdala. But nje strategy is right, list strategy is like musu yasibukisisa kahle siyasebenza because ubanje igebengu eziningi at once, yabo ezinye ithola semajele very already, uyabona. Justice is served, I think, in my opinion. Yeah, maybe ngizwa ubuthongo guys, ngiyadlalela mina. So it's please press like the video, and yeah, until tomorrow guys, asibonane until today, yes, asibonane late. Yeah, we need to also fix some of these things here. It's a mess, man, and I haven't got time. Think I'll do that during a weekend. But the night family, thank you, Jason Bonga nonke Sizwe, Mthozi Silanga, our moderator, Busani Sibanda, our member, Siyabonga kakhulu. Yeah, ST, our moderator, Siyabonga. Mamfuneka Emmanuel Makanjera, siyabonga. Pagani 82, siyabonga. Emmanuel Nkosi Mkho, thank you, siyabonga bafowethu. Nhlanhla Sikhosana, Malaji, siyabonga. Laura, thank you. Muzi Mabena, thank you, siyabonga. Thando Masiya, thank you.
Guys, I can no longer see the screen. I'm sure you're wondering why is Emily not there.
Lindiwe Pembe, our member, thank you. Sabonga. Lindiwe Dube, thank you, and we appreciate your gift, Lindiwe. God bless you, and everyone else that has given. Lindiwe Pembe also same WhatsApp group. Tuso William Lehuzo, Siabonga mfwetu. Skumbuzo, Pase Siabonga. T hype siyabonga Fikile Fixin Ndanzi Lea siyabonga Mamzita, thank you very much. Msongelwa Ndlovu, Didi Talks
Lampane,
it's been a while. Peshe
Lulama Serai Bulumko Tobi Nonto siyabonga Moses siyabonga Patra Mthethwa siyabonga Chadi Molwadwa siyamlandwa siyabonga Anayo siyabonga Tsidiso Mthethwa siyabonga Spamandla and Ulinda Ntube. I think I've mentioned Ulinda Ntube ngiya freestyle la Mamelo Skunana siyabonga cool Siponengu danki lapho Molifi Mukhatla siyabonga sibonga kakhulu Molifi sithi nje Magwande lapho